Ah yes, Turnabout Big Top enjoys. I don't think they exist. I've got to say, not the greatest stretch of cases coming up, but despite that, I still find them enjoyable. Like, for how bad the cases can get in the series, I didn't hate any of them to a point of never wanting to touch the case again. Take this case, Turnabout Big Top, as an example. I found the case had many faults, but never got to a point where I stopped enjoying playing the game. Turnabout Big Top has a nice little prologue where you, as Phoenix, Maya, and Pearl enjoy the very big circus, as well as their star Maximilian Galactica, whose act you can see in the opening cutscene. The next morning, paralleling the Steel Samurai case, you receive a call from Maya in order for the player to be aware of the murder of the circus leader Russell Berry, and the arrest of Max. With your job now set, it's time to explore the circus. The first person you meet is Gumshoe at the scene of the crime, who outlines who was killed, how the police think it occurs, and hands out some evidence to help us on our journey. Gumshoe, in the case, is shown to be very much disregarded by Von Karma, who has him sit and provide services to the circus staff. After talking with Gumshoe, inside the tent you meet Regina, who is an animal trainer and daughter of the ringmaster, as well as her tiger, Regent, whose introduction is that he tries to kill you. This is followed up by hearing about a previous animal, Leon the Lion, as well as our next witness, Ben and Triller. Regina doesn't seem too fazed about her father's death, as she's been sheltered during her life at the circus, with that leading down her talks of marriage and otherwise, with quite the love triangle at the circus. After investigating the ringmaster's room, you catch Ben outside the tent, who you learn has dual personalities, with Ben the quiet and shy person, and his puppet Triller, a very loud and rude companion to Ben. Though, when you find him, he's missing the puppet, which you find after a short fetch quest. Ben gives very limited info, only saying he saw a figure in Max's robe walk by at the time of the incident, where all he really does is just add a witness and clear himself of suspicion. The final person of the first day is Mo the Clown, who lives next to where Russell was killed, but has a deep respect for the guy. Mo is very annoying, and I feel intentionally so, in order to fit his circus personality. Though at moments he breaks his mold, and for a few moments I can actually see a good character. But this is definitely overshadowed by his use of kablamo, and the amount of whoopee cushions around the place. The rest of the case sees other characters introduced, such as Money the Monkey, who lives on the 3rd floor and steals shiny objects. Francisco Von Karma is the prosecutor and has an interesting attitude this time around, which I assume to be because of a spoiler I will touch on later. But there is also her normal self a lot of the time when she gets beaten badly in court. And Acro and Bat. Acrobats who have his tragic backstories being taken in by the circus whilst young. Whilst you never actually get to speak to Bat, you do get to speak to Acro, who is very calm and collected, whilst you can also feel the pain and anger of what his situation has become in his tone. The environment for the investigation is fine, but as for as interesting as the characters are, they are definitely faltered by circumstance. For instance, everyone loved the ringmaster, but upon his passing, every person chooses to blame the most arrogant performer just because they think it's deserved. Which, whilst in concept is very similar to the willpowers in the Steel Samurai case, it doesn't pull the same effect. Because the two cases are similar in concept, I think it's fair to compare to show how Turnabout Big Top fails to succeed. Both cases have a star protagonist who is the face of their service, though Will was a nice guy with a scary face, and Max is a scared country person. Both protagonists were accused by one or more witnesses and are framed by the respective killer. Though despite this, one case is held in high regard as one of the best in the series, and the other not so much. And this is totally just due to the execution. Like for the climax of Turnabout Samurai, it shows Edgeworth by the end caring more about the truth than the win, and helping catch the killer, an arc that we don't get to see with Franziska. Instead, we see Phoenix analysing his options and picking correctly, leading to the killer being caught, with Franziska upset that such a loss could happen, instead of coming around to the idea that the criminal being caught is the win for both the prosecutor and the defense attorney. Now, I understand it wouldn't make sense to give her the exact same character arc as Edgeworth, but instead she gets nothing, and by the time the next case rolls around, she doesn't even prosecute. This is what I mean when I say Franziska is one of the most underutilized characters in the trilogy. She's basically a filler whilst Edgeworth is out on vacation, and unluckily for her, they basically axe her after the trilogy. Back to the investigation. Yeah, it's okay, nothing offensive, but I didn't especially love or hate playing it. I should probably move on. The courtroom was good. I liked it in terms of how I like a majority of Ace Attorney cases: crack the witness, prosecution covers it up, rinse and repeat until they fold. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite gameplay loops, but it is a gameplay loop where at the end of the day, it's not that much different between cases. Spoiler warning for what's coming up. During the trial, I said earlier, it feels like an anonymous figure is watching over the trial with a certain gumshoe line giving a hint to who it is. With after the trial, a call taking place with Gumshoe shows that Edgeworth was the one in the trial and is coming home, baby. Okay, big top case. I don't think it's the bad outlier people think it is, but I'm also not advocating for it to go into people's top 10s. At best, it's a middle rate case which beats out any and all starter cases, and at its worst, it's like a bottom 5 for the series. I wish this game was 5 chapters like a lot of the other Ace Attorney games. It would have allowed for Franziska to be more fleshed out, and maybe that would help Justice for All's name. Or maybe I'm just hoping and coping that an Ace Attorney 7 will happen one day. Either way, that doesn't change the rating of this case, which will be 1.5 out of 5 attorney badges, with the case showing enough to not get itself a series lowest 1 out of 5, but not enough for a 2. At the very least, the case had a reasonable investigation, plot, characters, and story, and really that's the bare minimum needed for the case to not completely suck. Alrighty, with that done, I can finally relax. Never mind, I have 14 days until my next video release, which will be watching the rest of Love Live. Yeah, that idol show. If you want to watch that, make sure to subscribe and have notifications on to see when it's live, or the next case by case in a month, which will be the finale of Justice for All. Other than that, liking and commenting helps with feedback, and I stream over on Twitch, so feel free to catch me there. With that said, we are donezo, so as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!